school bullies destroyed Pizza Boy's bike. His sister's revenge will shock you. An inspiring story by Heartfelt Tales. The sound of metal crashing against concrete echoed through the empty school courtyard as Jake Martinez watched his only source of income crumble before his eyes. His battered delivery bike lay twisted and broken, pizza boxes scattered like fallen leaves, their contents now feeding the ants instead of hungry customers. Three boys in expensive sneakers laughed as they walked away, their leader calling back, "Maybe next time you'll think twice before delivering to our neighborhood, loser." If this story touches your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to Heartfelt Tales for more inspiring stories that matter. Jake's hands trembled as he knelt beside his destroyed bicycle. At 17, he had been working every evening for Tony's Pizza Palace, saving every dollar for his little sister Maya's college fund. Their parents had died in a car accident 2 years ago, leaving Jake to care for his 15-year-old sister while finishing high school himself. This bike wasn't just transportation, it was their lifeline, their hope, their future. The three boys responsible for this destruction were no strangers to Jake. Brad Morrison, the ringleader, was the son of the town's wealthiest real estate developer. His two companions, Derek and Connor, came from equally privileged families. They attended Westfield Academy, the prestigious private school whose gates Jake had been unfortunate enough to pass while making a delivery to a nearby house. To them, Jake was nothing more than entertainment, a poor kid whose misery could brighten their boring afternoon. What these bullies didn't know was that Jake had a secret weapon, his sister Maya. While Jake was gentle and avoided conflict, Maya was a force of nature who had been practicing martial arts since she was 7 years old. She held a black belt in Taekwondo and had recently started learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. More importantly, she had a fierce protective instinct when it came to her older brother. That evening, Jake limped home with the remains of his bike, dreading the conversation he would have to have with Maya. She was in the kitchen, textbook spread across the table, working on her homework under the dim light of their only good lamp. Her face lit up when she saw him, but her smile quickly faded as she noticed his torn shirt and the cuts on his hands. "Jake, what happened?" she asked, rushing to examine his injuries. He tried to downplay the incident, but Maya had always been able to read him like an open book. Within minutes, she had extracted the entire story from him: the delivery to Elm Street, the encounter with the three boys, the deliberate destruction of his bike, and worst of all, the humiliation of being powerless to stop it. Maya's dark eyes flashed with an anger Jake had rarely seen. "Those cowards," she whispered, her fists clenching. "They picked on you because they thought you couldn't fight back. They have no idea what they've started." "Maya, please don't do anything reckless," Jake pleaded. "I can't afford to lose this job, and if you get in trouble." But Maya was already formulating a plan. The next morning, she would be starting her first day at Westfield Academy. Their aunt had managed to secure her a scholarship after seeing her exceptional grades and athletic achievements. Maya had been nervous about fitting in with the wealthy students, but now she had a different priority entirely. The challenge Maya faced wasn't just about getting revenge, it was about justice. She knew that simply beating up the three boys wouldn't solve anything and might even make things worse for Jake. She needed to be smart about this, to find a way to make them understand the consequences of their actions while protecting her brother's future. That night, Maya spent hours researching Brad Morrison and his friends. She discovered that Brad was the captain of the school's wrestling team, Derek was a star on the basketball team, and Connor was known for his prowess in the school's mixed martial arts club. They weren't just bullies, they were skilled athletes who used their physical abilities to intimidate others. The next morning, Maya walked through the gates of Westfield Academy with her head held high. She wore her new uniform with pride, her long black hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She had spent the early hours of the morning practicing her forms, centering herself for what was to come. Her opportunity came during lunch break. She spotted the three boys near the gymnasium, laughing as they recounted their adventure from the previous day. Other students gave them a wide berth, clearly intimidated by their reputation. Maya approached them directly, her footsteps confident and measured. "Excuse me," she said, her voice calm but carrying an edge that made several nearby students pause and listen. "I believe you three destroyed my brother's bicycle yesterday." Brad looked her up and down dismissively. "Your brother? Oh, you mean the pizza boy? Yeah, that was pretty funny. What are you going to do about it, little girl?" What happened next would become legend at Westfield Academy. Maya's response was swift and precise. In less than 30 seconds, all three boys found themselves on the ground, Brad with his arm twisted behind his back in a perfect submission hold, Derek flat on his back with Maya's foot placed firmly on his chest, and Connor sitting dazed after being swept off his feet by a perfectly executed leg sweep. "Here's what's going to happen," Maya said, her voice deadly calm. "You're going to pay for my brother's bike. You're going to apologize to him personally. And you're going to think very carefully before you ever bully anyone again." The entire courtyard had gone silent. Students who had been eating lunch, playing sports, or chatting with friends now formed a circle around the scene, their phones already recording. Maya knew this moment would define not just her time at this school, but potentially her entire future. Brad struggled against her hold, his face red with embarrassment and rage. "You have no idea who you're messing with. My father owns half this town. And my brother delivers pizza to feed his family and save for his sister's education," Maya replied evenly. "Which one of us do you think has more to lose?" The principal, Mrs. Henderson, arrived on the scene within minutes, having been alerted by the crowd of students. Maya immediately released her holds and stepped back, her hands visible and non-threatening. She had calculated this moment carefully. She needed witnesses, she needed it to be clear who the aggressor was, and she needed to control the narrative. "What is the meaning of this?" Mrs. Henderson demanded. Before Brad could speak, Maya stepped forward. "Ma'am, these three students destroyed my brother's bicycle yesterday while he was working to support our family. I came to them seeking a peaceful resolution, and they threatened me. I defended myself using minimal necessary force." The crowd murmured their agreement. Several students who had witnessed the encounter confirmed Maya's version of events. More importantly, someone had captured Brad's threatening words on video, along with his dismissive attitude about destroying Jake's bike. Mrs. Henderson was in a difficult position. Brad's family donated significant money to the school, but the evidence was overwhelming, and the incident was already spreading on social media. She made a decision that would surprise everyone. "Mr. Morrison, Mr. Chen, Mr. Walsh, my office, now. Ms. Martinez, you as well." In the principal's office, the full story came out. Mrs. Henderson reviewed the video evidence, listened to witness statements, and considered the broader context. She had heard rumors about these three boys bullying students from the public school, but this was the first time there had been concrete evidence and consequences. The resolution was more than Maya had dared to hope for. The three boys were suspended for a week and required to pay for Jake's new bicycle, not just a replacement for his old one, but a high-quality delivery bike that would serve him much better. They were also required to perform community service at local food banks and homeless shelters, giving them a chance to understand what real hardship looked like. More importantly, Mrs. Henderson used the incident to implement a new school policy about bullying and community responsibility. She praised Maya's restraint and skill in de-escalating the situation while protecting herself, and even offered her a position helping to train other students in conflict resolution. The challenges weren't over, however. Maya worried about how the other students would treat her, whether she would be seen as a troublemaker or a hero. She also faced the ongoing struggle of balancing her studies with helping Jake rebuild their lives. But the community response was overwhelmingly positive. The story of the pizza delivery boy and his fierce little sister spread throughout the town, bringing unexpected support. Tony, Jake's boss, was so moved by the story that he promoted Jake to assistant manager and gave him a raise. Local news picked up the story, leading to a scholarship fund being established for students like Jake and Maya who were working to overcome difficult circumstances. the three former bullies underwent a transformation of their own. Their community service opened their eyes to the struggles of others, and they began using their influence and resources to help rather than harm. Brad, in particular, became an advocate against bullying and started a program pairing students from the private school with those from the public school for tutoring and mentorship. Jake's new bike was more than just a replacement, it was a symbol of hope and community support. He was able to increase his delivery radius, earning more money and building toward his and Maya's dreams of college and beyond. Maya thrived at Westfield Academy, her courage and principles earning her respect from students and teachers alike. She started a martial arts club that focused not on aggression, but on discipline, confidence, and protecting others. Her example inspired other students to stand up against bullying and support their communities. The incident taught everyone involved valuable lessons about courage, justice, and the power of standing up for what's right. Maya learned that sometimes fighting isn't about violence, it's about having the courage to face injustice and the wisdom to handle it appropriately. Jake learned that he didn't have to face the world's challenges alone, that having people who believe in you can make all the difference. The three former bullies learned that their privilege came with responsibility, and that true strength comes from lifting others up rather than tearing them down. The school community learned that everyone has a story, everyone faces challenges, and everyone deserves to be treated with respect and dignity. Months later, as Maya and Jake sat in their small kitchen working on homework and planning for their futures, they reflected on how one terrible day had led to so many positive changes. Jake's delivery business was thriving, Maya was excelling in her studies, and they had built a network of friends and supporters they never could have imagined. "You know what the best part is?" Maya said, looking up from her calculus homework. "What's that?" Jake asked, pausing in his review of college applications. He had decided to pursue a degree in business management, inspired by his success in the food service industry. Those three guys actually became decent people. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you can end up being the best thing that happens to everyone around you. Jake smiled, remembering the genuine apology Brad had given him weeks after the incident, and how Derek had started volunteering at the community center where Jake sometimes picked up extra work. Maybe that's the real lesson here. It's not about getting revenge, it's about finding ways to make things better for everyone. Maya nodded, then grinned mischievously. Though I have to admit, watching their faces when they hit the ground was pretty satisfying too. They both laughed, the sound filling their small kitchen with warmth and hope. Outside, the sun was setting over their neighborhood, and Jake would soon head out for his evening deliveries. But now he rode with confidence, knowing that he had people who believed in him, that his hard work was building towards something meaningful, and that sometimes, when you stand up for what's right, the whole world stands up with you. The pizza delivery boy and his sister had faced their bullies and won something more valuable than revenge. They had won respect, community, and a future full of possibilities. This story reminds us that true strength isn't about fighting, it's about having the courage to stand up for what's right and the wisdom to handle conflicts with dignity and purpose. Maya's actions didn't just protect her brother, they transformed an entire community and taught everyone involved valuable lessons about respect, responsibility, and the power of doing the right thing, ***. If this story inspired you, please show your support by hitting that like button, sharing this video with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribing to Heartfelt Tales for more stories that celebrate the triumph of courage over cruelty, love over hate, and hope over despair. Your comments mean the world to us. Tell us about a time when someone stood up for you, or when you found the courage to stand up for others. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you never miss our latest inspiring stories. Together, we can build a community that believes in the power of doing what's right, no matter how difficult it might be. Thank you for being part of the Heartfelt Tales family, ***.